Hey everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Welcome to Comic Book Wednesday. And what we have here is my very first Marvel Select figure. Diamond Select, Marvel Select, Thanos. Special Collector Edition action figure. I'm gonna be opening him. What else can I say? Now I know this figure, this version of Thanos. I know this guy is like 5, maybe 6 years old with this sculpt, this mold, this figure in itself, but I missed it the first time, and I don't know if if it's sort of like on a comeback or if there's a second issuing of them or what, because this figure was gone for a long time, and in its place was the MCU Thanos and the more modern looking comic version of Thanos. But just recently, this guy has reappeared in my comic book shop. As a matter of fact, there were 3 of them when I went last Wednesday to pick up my comics. So I thought, hey, I want this version of Thanos. I'm going to pick up this version of Thanos. Plus, we open up old stuff here sometimes anyway, so let's just take a look at this guy. I like the Marvel Select packaging, I really do. It's very much like the old 80s blister pack on a card back, except huge, because usually the Marvel Select figures, the Diamond Select figures, have some sort of diorama piece in there. This time we get Lady Death as an accessory with Thanos, which is very cool. We have Thanos' name over here, Marvel logo. You can see behind him is some artwork from, I believe that's the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Down here we have just his face with that smiling Mad Titan look. On the side, this is very cool with this artwork right here. I also like the idea that if you do collect these and you don't open them, that with this, all of them are the same size. You could actually stack them on a bookshelf side by side with just this artwork looking out, and you would know what they are. On the back, promotional pictures, a little bit of a bio. One of the most famous images that we have of him, the Infinity Gauntlet right here. Come and get me. Proof of purchase. Collect 5. Send it in for a free figure. Don't I wish. And cross-sell on the back with Black Cat and Dr. Doom. On the side, just plastic. So, let's get this special collector's edition open. Let's open this up and let's take a look at Diamond Select, Marvel Select, the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. Alright, my friends, here he is, Thanos, out of his blister pack, out of his packaging, and ho! Thanos is a big, chunky boy. Now, like I said, this is my first Diamond Select, my first Marvel Select figure I've ever had, and I believe that the Marvel Select figures are based off of a 7-inch scale, a 7-inch figure. So, let's put the tape measure to Thanos, we'll see how he comes out, and as you can see, to the top of the tape measure, Thanos is just over 8¼ inches tall. So Thanos is a big, chunky boy. Now, with all of that chunk comes a cost. He doesn't have much in the realm of articulation, at least nothing that we know of as like the modern articulation. And you'll see what I mean. But before we get into that, I do want to say that I don't have a problem with him not having all of the dynamic articulation that like a Marvel Legends or McFarlane Toys figure would have, because he's Thanos. He's not going to be doing high kicks. He's not going to be doing wind sprints. He's just there to kick your butt. And I just noticed for the first time that his armor is a little offset. It's a little higher on this side. But we'll get to that. That's just one issue. There's a few issues with this one, but it's nothing that's really deal-breaking. But let's start with the head. He can look back. He can look down. That's about it. He can do a full 360. There's no tilt because his head is basically just on a hinge in there. There's no ball joint. There's just a hinge. So it's very static in the up and the down. Like I said, he can do a spin, but there's no tilt, nothing like that. No butterfly joint in the shoulders. The shoulders do a through full turn. They come up to there. Oh, wait. That one comes up a little higher. Is this one just sticking? Ah, there we go. Okay, that one was just sticking. He can come out to 90 on the shoulders. He has a bicep swivel, single jointed elbow that only comes to there, about 90. No elbow twist, but like I said, he does have that bicep swivel and a wrist swivel, but no pivot. The gloves are static. Okay, there's no ab crunch, but he does have a waist twist, but that really, if you look at that, that really breaks up the line if you go into a more dramatic twist on him or don't hide it somehow. His skirt here is rubbery instead of hard plastic, which is good because he can get his legs pretty far out for a figure this big. And this won't hinder him. He can come forward, but as you can see, the ball joints, because that's what he has ball joints up here in his hips. The ball joints don't hold position very well. So even though the leg can come out, it'll keep dropping. And he can go back only about that far. Single jointed knee, about 90. On that ball joint, the leg can pivot. And ankle can go forward, ankle can go back, but there's no side-to-side rock. So, like I said, this is very basic articulation, and I have no doubt that it has something to do with the figure being so old. But like I said, being Thanos, I don't have a problem with that because he's not the most nimble villain in the Marvel Pantheon. Now, I do prefer with a guy like this, a figure like this, that they didn't do the double jointed elbows and trench the sculpt. I do prefer that this is just a sculpt right here and there's no ab crunch breaking it up. I do wish they would have put the boot swivel in there because they obviously could have put the boot swivel in there. And I do wish they had done a ankle rock, but that is what it is. Those are just minor issues. His skirt also has a habit of getting out of line, which I don't know how because it seems like it's sandwiched between the upper and lower torso pieces. Now, a few things you can see already. Mine has some paint rub there on the head that came out in packaging. Also, if you look right here, you can see on mine the collar of his armor is scraping away, and I think that's because in the packaging the plastic forced his head down like this. So in transit, it was probably rubbing back and forth, and that is what rubbed that off already. Now, that's annoying, but you're not going to see it, especially with his head down like in position. You're not going to see it. And that brings us to the face sculpt. The face sculpt on him isn't bad. It's not bad at all. I like the detail in the chin. I like all of his teeth coming through. I really like what they've done with his eyes right here. And I really like the coloring and the shape of his helmet, his cowl, in that classic, like almost Jim Starlin looking era of Marvel's cosmic figures. What I do wish, though, is that instead of this, we would have gotten a more Thanos looking expression, like maybe the closed mouth stoic look, or what I would have really liked, hold on, let me get the packaging. What I would have really liked would have been something like, this, that smiling Mad Titan look of his that you see right here on the label of his figure. Also, he's doing it here. Move over for a second. He's doing it here on the issue of the comic, Come Get Me. I would have liked to have seen something like that. Like, this isn't bad. This isn't bad at all. I'm not complaining about this. I just wish that maybe they could have added in another head, or maybe if they were only going to do one head, a more iconic look of Thanos. I love the coloring of his skin. That's something that a lot of times Thanos gets, whenever they make a Thanos, they get wrong. But I love this dark purple coloring and this black wash that's over it, giving it some detail, really bringing out the chin ridges, his teeth, the creases in his face. I really like that. The sculpt in general of this big guy, I am a big fan of, with his abs coming through, the muscles upon muscles with his arms, the tree trunk legs. I love how, I don't know if it's coming through on camera, but there's a wash over this whole thing, especially on the back here, that, just really there's like a black wash that really brings out the texture and the detail of his muscles right here, and just makes everything stand out, and just makes him look even bigger than what he is. And I love that. I dig that. That is fantastic. For accessories, Thanos really only comes with one thing, and he has this, the Infinity Gauntlet. Whoop. He has this, the Infinity Gauntlet. And you can see all of the Infinity Gems in there. And each one is its own individual paint. Now, this is the comic version, the original version of the Infinity Gauntlet, so the colors aren't going to match up what you're used to if you've only seen the Infinity Gems on the MCU. For some reason in the MCU, they made the gems different colors. I don't exactly know why. Oh, there's the one on the thumb. But these are the original colors of the Infinity Stones, and this looks really good. This gauntlet looks really good. Now, you can see this big horking peg hole right here. Getting it off was a bit of a task the first time. Because you see he has this big mushroom peg of a stump that you have to fit these pieces on. And sometimes, when you put it on, you can even hear the air being pushed out. And there he is. His infinity hand. Now, that looks so cool. I really like that. Now, some people may be wondering, well, why isn't he doing the snap? Well, because honestly, in the comic, the snap wasn't a big deal. If you never read the Infinity Gauntlet, the original miniseries that Infinity War and Endgame were based on, the snap wasn't a big deal. He actually did multiple snaps, because first he killed everybody, then he brought them back, then he killed half the people, then he brought them back, then he cut himself off from being all powerful so that he could have a fair fight, and then he brought them back. And so there were multiple snaps. So it wasn't so much that the snap in the comic was the big deal. It was just the fact that he had become a god and he couldn't be taken down. And why did he do that? Not because there were no resources and he needed to cull the herd so that everybody else could survive. No. He did that all for... Where did she go? He did that all for the love of her. And this is another piece that comes with this. I'm almost going to give her her own little review, because she is a statue. She's not an action figure. This is Lady Death, and everything Thanos did in the Infinity Gauntlet was to impress her, to prove that he was good enough for Lady Death. Thanos was in love with death. That's something right there. I like that. Now, Lady Death comes in at almost just under 7 inches. Looks like 6 7/8, to be honest. And I really like her. I really like the detail they did on her. Let's take a closer look at her. Look at the detail in the skull. Look at the detail in her hands. Even they gave her this purple robe instead of all black. And look at the wash. Oh, come on, focus in. And look at the wash they did on her robe, on her belt, the wash on her bones. This is art. I absolutely love this piece. Now, Death comes with an accessory of her own, which I get why they did it, but I don't think they did it well. She comes with this, because in the comics, in one comic in particular, she presented herself as a beautiful woman to help with the passage of one person specifically that I remember. Now, I like that they did this. Oh, I got a little dirt there. I like that they did this. I'm not a big fan of the sculpt of this mask, which is basically what it is. I feel like the eyes are empty. I think they're too close together. And I get that they couldn't put hair in because of the hood, but I think they should have painted something on there, because, I don't know, it looks like too much head and not enough face. Like they didn't fill it out well enough. But the reason she did that was all for the sake of this guy. And this is the main reason I bought this set. That now with the three of them, this is the death of Captain Marvel right here. You have Thanos, you have Lady Death with the mask on, and you have the original Captain Marvel or Marvel. And the death of Captain Marvel was one of the best trade paperbacks, graphic novels, whatever you want to call it, that I read. It was one of the best character deaths of any of the heroes I've ever had. When this came out last year, when Marvel came out last year, I didn't care the quality of the figure, because honestly, this isn't the best figure. This isn't the best job they could have done for the original Captain Marvel, but I snagged it because I figured they would never make one again. Now, I do know that Diamond Select, Marvel Select, has a Captain Marvel figure. It was actually on the peg right next to this Thanos, but at the 6-inch scale, at the Marvel Legends 6-inch scale, and come on, Titan, and a Marvel Select 7-inch scale figure, this is actually closer to scale of what they should be, rather than if this was a 7-inch figure or if this was based off of a 6-inch figure. And I know that because I also have this. This is the Marvel Legends Thanos that I had originally bought, but you can even look at them together. Like, in his box, he's only about as tall as this Marvel Select figure. I haven't opened him up yet, so I don't know how tall he actually is, but I like the coloring of this one better. I like the armor on this one better. I like the face sculpt on this one better. Even though this is like the smiling Mad Titan look, I just like the overall look and the sheer size and bulk of this one better. I do like the packaging for this one, though, I have to admit, with the Infinity Gauntlet logo. And then you have the Infinity Gems up top, and then this great shot of him right there. So I am glad I have that, but this, for me, this is what's going to go on the shelf alongside Marvel. And it even comes with Lady Death for the whole effect. I really like this. I really like this set. I don't collect many Marvel Legends figures. I've said that numerous times, and that's very true. But one thing that I am starting to get into is I really loved the old, like from the 70s and 80s, the old cosmic story arcs, the old cosmic characters from like the the Jim Starlin, Jack Kirby era. I almost went in on Galactus, but I didn't want to spend that much on Galactus. I do want Nova, I do want Binary, and I do want Quasar, but they're Walgreens exclusives. I don't get that. Anyhow, back to this. So, with this setup, I really like the scale of these three together. Let's get him out of there. I just think this is how they're going to be displayed on the shelf, the three of them together. I really like this. And this actually is, honestly, more, I feel, in size to what Thanos should be compared to the Marvel Legends figures, because I remember when, at the end of the Infinity Gauntlet, at the end of the first fight, I seem to remember that Captain America was the last one standing, and he walked up to Thanos, and I remember him basically looking at his chest. So this isn't too far off, I don't think, from what the scale of the comics is. So you saw Thanos with Captain Marvel. There he is with Loki. As I keep saying, I don't have much as far as Marvel Legends. As a matter of fact, Loki is the only other male figure I have out of a package right now, which is too bad because they're basically, I think they're the same body between Marvel and Loki. But there they are with some Hasbro Marvel Legends figures. Something I do have a lot of is G.I. Joe Classified, so here he is with Destro and the Cobra Infantry Trooper. Just for a size comparison with some other big figures that I have, here he is with Power Rangers Lightning Collection King Sphinx and McFarlane Toys Mortal Kombat Shao Kahn. As you can see, he's about on par height-wise with Shao Kahn. This is actually a good setup right here. I might have to think of something to do with this. With some more standard McFarlane Toys action figures, here he is with Geralt of Rivia and Scorpion, both of them standing at the 7-inch mark. And here they are with the Lanyard Toys 7-inch Xenomorph Drone and City Hunter Predator. I have to admit, it's because these are supposed to be 7-inch figures too. Well, these are 7-inch figures. It's pretty impressive how Thanos towers over the Predator. And finally, here they are with Master Chief and Kat from the Jazzwares Wicked Cool Toys Spartan Collection. So while Thanos may have some issues, some shortcomings, a paint rub on his head, the paint scraping off of the collar of his armor, the armor itself not being proportioned correctly on the shoulders, I do like this figure. I like the color, I like the texture, I like the sculpt, I like everything about this figure. I am not upset at all about the lack of articulation because, like I said, he's Thanos. He's not going to be getting down into low crouching Spider-Man type poses. For the most part, even in the Infinity Gauntlet, even now in the Eternals, he basically just stands there, he takes a few punches, and then he just blasts whoever he's fighting. He's kind of like Darkseid in that manner, that he doesn't do a lot of physicality in a fight, he'll just dominate the fight. And I really like the comic accurate look of this character. I gotta be honest, I'm not a big fan of the MCU incarnation of Thanos, either in personality, in motivation, or in appearance. I was kind of let down, not by the movies, just by the character. I always preferred this version of Thanos over the movie version. And I will freely admit, it's probably just because I have so much time spent reading this character, learning about this character. The Infinity Gauntlet was one of the best crossovers, big event crossovers, that kind of kick-started that whole craze, to be completely honest. And I love the look of the Gauntlet. And Lady Death, you get Lady Death with it. So all of this, combined with my Captain Marvel figure, it's going to look fantastic on the shelf. All of this is going to look great. So like I said, I know this is a new figure. I don't know if he's just being re-released, since my comic shop seems to be getting some in. Even the copyright on the case that he came in said 2019. So I don't know. Maybe he is being re-released, or maybe he never left and my comic shop just didn't have him for a number of years. Either way, I'm glad I finally got my hands on him, specifically for the Captain Marvel display that I'm going to be setting up. So I hope you enjoyed this. I thank you for spending some time with me. And until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.